Welcome back to Mean Streets, the podcast where we investigate the best, worst, and forgotten movies of film noir. I'm Luke Deckard.
And I'm Matthew Booth.
And we are your cinematic sleuths. And oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Matt, we got a hot investigation, don't we?
We certainly have. This is going to be grateful.
It's packed with pastels. It's packed with neon lights, bikinis, and two cops who changed the neo-noir landscape on TV for the better, and to this day are absolute icons for various reasons, including fashion. So what?
Fashion.
What case are we cracking today?
Well, there's enough clues there for people to guess what it's from. I think we're looking today at the pilot episode of Miami Vice from 1985 called Brothers Keeper.
It's 1984, but it's okay.
Is it 1984?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 1984. Yeah, I think we got it in Britain in 1985. I think that's where I've got off.
Oh, probably.
Brothers Keeper, starring, as everybody will know, Don Johnson, legendary Don Johnson, and Philip Michael Thomas. Written by the show's creator, Anthony Yerkovich, and directed by Thomas Carter. And the summary of the plot is Miami detective Sonny Crockett reluctantly teams with New York City cop Rico Tubbs when both of them end up pursuing a drug dealer who's killed their respective partners. Sonny Crockett and Rico Tubbs.
Tubbs. Tubbs, what are you doing, Tubbs?
Yeah,
Crockett
absolutely.
With his hillbilly accent, Tubbs. What are you talking about, Tubbs?
Yeah, I just think he's. We'll come on to it, but this is Johnson's show. This is his shining hour. I think he's brilliant in this.
I have to agree. I would be I'd be a fool to disagree. I think they're both great, but
they're both great. Yeah,
Johnson
both great,
is on another level.
I reckon you can tell that Johnson saw an opportunity here and grabbed it by its neck and ran with it for as long as he could.
Yes. So this what a show, Miami Vice. I can imagine people are like, what are these guys talking about Miami Vice? That's not neo-noir. That's not noir. I mean, it is.
It is.
This is so bloody noir. I mean, it's a gosh darn Michael Mann production.
Yeah.
Which king of noir, right? That. And
it's it is noir. There's everything about it's noir. The brightest thing in it is Crockett's fucking jacket. You know what I mean? So it's got everything noir for me. So anyone who disagrees, I would want to know why. I'd like to know. I'd be interested to know why, because I think this is noir as it comes.
I mean, I would say so. This is classic 80s noir. This is in that same vein of neo noir. That's the same vein of like the Lethal Weapons, and I would push Die Hard into a neo noir category as well. It's kind of on the back of all that sort of Blood Simple, all of that.
All of those, yeah.
All of that.
Well, Manhunter,
of course. Another man.
Although somehow I think this wears its 80s vibes on its sleeve with more style than Manhunter does.
It does, and that's something I'm keen to talk about, because this is a really interesting embrace of era fashion and style and music, and in a way that works so well, in a way that did not work for me with Manhunter in the slightest. But no. I guess we can just take a brief moment and talk about Anthony, not Anton. I'm thinking of a different person. Anthony Yerkovich, the creator of the show. Dude has worked on a number of crime shows over the years. Some of his highlights include Starsky and Hutch, classic. 240 Robert, never saw that.
Nope.
Heart to Heart from 1981.
Rather different territory to Miami Vice, but yeah.
A little bit. Back to Police Procedurals with Hill Street Blues. And he was also writer and supervising producer on Private Eye, which was an American TV show from '87 to '88 that I've not seen, but I would love to see this. It looks, ran for a season, but it would be right up our streets to
it would be right up our streets, but it's not what I know. I've never seen it, but interesting cast, but what I've read about it, which isn't a great deal, it does give you a bit of a taste for it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just the premise. It's the series about an ex-cop in 1950s LA. He works as a private eye. When he is hunting the murderer of his brother, he meets a young rockabilly street hustler, Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin today is known as Thanos, but I know him as the older brother from the Goonies.
Yeah, I was going to say it must be around Goonies time, this, mustn't it?
This is 87. This is a few years after Goonies, so yeah, definitely. Yeah. Josh Brolin, who will help him and eventually become his pal, and secretary played by Lisa Jane Persky will also join the team. So yeah, it's got all the trappings of a PI show that's it's almost in a way sort of like when we talked a little bit about that first episode of Philip Marlowe Private Eye. It has that same sort of patchwork of characters. It's okay, these are going to be your main cast, but it only had 11 episodes, Private Eye, so didn't do very hot.
I'd love to track it down.
I think we should. So all this to say, also, he is credited as Yerkovich is credited as a writer on Miami Vice, the movie from 2006. Now, I don't know if that is strictly because he wrote the TV series, and I suspect it probably is, because I don't know if he was. I don't know enough. I don't know anything about Miami Vice other than I tried to watch the movie once and I couldn't finish it.
No, I couldn't finish it either.
So bad.
It is bad. Yeah, it is bad, and it's one of the worst examples of modern movies made from older TV series.
Yes.
I couldn't. There's a film of the Sweeney with Ray Winston, and that's just appalling. It spits on the memory of the TV show. And I couldn't get through Miami Vice the movie either. It lacks everything that I like.
It's weird. No, yeah, it's weird because also at this time, like Miami Vice the movie came out in 2006, which is right around that period where you're getting the Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Starsky and Hutch, which plays it for laughs. It turns it into a silly 70s comedy, which I think really worked in that film's favor. I like the Ben Stiller movie. It's so silly, but it's fun. They also they did Dukes of Hazzard at the time, which they took that direction, which I don't think worked as well. But then again, a few years after this, they did 21 Jump Street, which they use that same sort of comedy formula. And I think the very first 21 Jump Street is a film, with what's his face, Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. I think that is it's fun. It's a really good genuine sequel to the show, but different and funny and worked. Whereas Miami Vice just went full Michael Mann grumpiness, but without the style and without the personality.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And a waste of what could have been quite good casting, I think. I
agree.
Colin Farrell has the potential to step into Don Johnson's slip-on boat shoes or whatever it is he's wearing, wicker shoes, and
his slip-ons,
his slip-ons, and was it is it
Jamie Foxx?
Jamie Foxx, yeah, it is Jamie Foxx, isn't it? I mean, again, I think he's got the potential. I think it could have been a good team up, but the script is just appalling.
Yes,
and it's too dark. I mean, Miami Vice was the TV series had its moments. There's things to say about that when it first appeared on British TV, but it had a sense of humor as well. And
yes, Crockett is
some of the things that Crockett does are laugh out loud funny.
Yeah, we got Gumby over here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Elvis the Croc, and you think, but the film had none of that. The film was like po-faced and it didn't need to be. I don't think it needed to be. It didn't capture the spirit of the TV series, and then that leaves me asking, what's the point?
Well, exactly. It's weird. It's weird.
Why not just call them something else and have a whole new standalone film?
I mean, yeah, it was a weird move. I don't know what. Maybe one day we will cover it on this podcast, just so we can investigate why Mann did what he did with that movie.
Why it exists.
Because it's just. It's a confusing one, it took everything that was great and fun and engaging about the show and said, nope, not doing any of that. And given that Michael Mann was one of the main proponents for some of the visual style, it's weird that he ejected all of that for the show. Yeah, it's weird that he ejected all of that for the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't get it.
And I think if you do one of these films arising from a TV series, you've got to give your audience at least some of what they're expecting to see. Yeah. So, because nobody's going to go and see a film called Miami. Nobody who remembers the TV series is going to go and see that film expecting it to be nothing like the TV series. They're going to want to see some of what they saw in the 80s. So,
well, let's talk
like in the Starsky and Hutch film. In the Starsky and Hutch film, the Gran Torino, the red and white. It was there, the leather jacket was there, the blue Adidas Gazelle trainers were there. Everything, there was just a comedy twist on it. So you could go and say, I recognize this as the people.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second, because I think that is probably what the problem was. And when I've always known about Miami Vice growing up, but it was a show that I never watched. Right. I was not born when it first came out, and I don't remember it in reruns when I was a kid. I probably was rerunning somewhere, but it was something that I never sat and watched or engaged with. But what I always knew about Miami Vice were things like the joke about like Ross and Chandler and Friends dressing up like Crockett and Tubbs, and the sort of everyone making fun of the fashion of Miami Vice. So I have a feeling that Mann was probably wanting to distance himself from the, the jokey commentary on the 80s show and wanted to make it just dark and dirty and gritty, which is a mistake in my opinion, because I mean, one of my other favorite shows is Dexter, which we've talked about before. That is, I think I would not be surprised if the author Jeff Lindsay was, heavily inspired by Miami Vice, because again, it's set in Florida, it's set in Miami. Dexter works for Miami Metro as a blood spatter analysis. Mm-hmm. The TV show is bright and sunny and pastel and very. My mind would be blown if I looked into it further and found there was no influence from Miami Vice, because there has to be. And Dexter is another, particularly the original series, is an iconic show that played with the brightness and the sunniness of its locale, whereas the film just thought, no, it's just this is dark. We're in Florida, but it's dark and mean, and there's nothing happy. There's no funny. There's no fun color. It's just dark. It's like, all right.
Yeah, it just robs like the soul out of it almost. If you're going to set it in Miami, you want to see what Miami's got to offer, don't you?
Well, I mean, you would think so,
wouldn't you? I
mean, I would.
I mean, look at Magnum. How much of that do you? How much of the background there is what you want to see, what you expect to see?
Exactly.
Magnum deals with some. Well, Miami Vice deals with some pretty dark issues. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be looking at darkness to deal with darkness, do you?
No. I swear, man. The more I think about it, I feel like the 80s were golden. I sound like the jackass from Cobra Kai. What's his name? Johnny Lawrence, who's all like, "Oh, the 80s were the best decade, man. Far out." But I also, because I do sort of hate the whole like 80s like circle jerk. Everyone's like, "Oh, the 80s is the best thing ever." But I do think to some degree, when it comes to 80s detective fiction, not just both, but in film and in television and in literature, books, was a sort of silver age. If we consider Marlowe and Chandler like a golden age of, not golden age in the British sense, but like a golden age in like golden age of comic book sense, right?
Yeah.
The 80s have to be the silver age of hard-boiled fiction, because on TV at this time you have Miami Vice, which is awesome. You have Magnum PI, which is awesome. You have Spencer for Hire, which is awesome, and they're all massive hits. Yeah, and they're all the same genre.
Yeah, and to a different twist on the same thing, you have Moonlighting with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd that went on for what seemed like centuries. Yeah, and was a huge success. And doing things like breaking the fourth wall that wasn't as common as it is now.
And Magnum was doing as well.
Magnum was doing that as well. Yeah, and Bruce Willis was laugh out loud hilarious in Moonlighting.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think you're right. I think there's a lot of good stuff coming out on cinema screens and TV screens. Yeah. At the time, and you can laugh at the clothes. You can laugh. We are going to be laughing at what Don Johnson was wearing, but it doesn't detract from it for me. It doesn't detract from it when the storytelling and the characters are so good. Who cares what they're wearing? Who cares what they're wearing? Yeah. Because if you compare this to some of the hour-long cop shows that are produced now, they are as wooden and plastic and one-dimensional as they come compared to this.
Go sit through an episode of Elementary.
Or that, yeah, or something like, I don't even know if it's still on, but things like NCIS and all those things.
Although I think all of those are still going.
Where they're just the same thing all the time. And it's just cheesy and it's badly written and it's just like there's no depth to any of it, although they think there is.
Yeah.
So I can forgive a pastel coloured jacket with its sleeves rolled up when you're getting something a lot more meaty to deal with than you do now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go back to sort of initial impressions then. So when did you first experience Miami Vice, and do you remember anything? Obviously, I've already said that I didn't watch it as a kid. My experience of Miami Vice comes much, much later. So
I did watch it as a kid. Yeah. So I was, like I say, I think it aired over here in 85, although it actually aired in 84, like you say. So, and it runs, was it 89? It runs till something like that. 90, maybe 90 over here. Yeah, it will have been 90 over here. So I'm between the ages of 10 and 11 and 15 and 16.
Perfect age.
But I remember there being a bit of critical horror at this, crass American TV show that was labeled ultra violent and but I mean, in the same breath, the same papers said that the A-Team was ultra violent, and you think, even as a kid, the A-Team's that is comic violence, isn't it? That's comic book violence. But there was a feeling in Britain at the time, as I remember it, that American cop shows were things like, Heart to Heart, and they were things like Chips. Do you remember Chips?
Oh yeah, I remember Chips.
And there were things like, Columbo even.
Yeah.
And this comes up. So we thought, and we still do think along those sort of nice, cozy rails to a certain extent. But this came along and was proper hard as nails, and it took a lot for the British to swallow it. So there was a bit of a backlash to it. But my DNA and psychology being what it is, that makes me want to see it, to see what all the fuss is about. And it was shown on the BBC over here, quite fairly late at night. But I remember watching it and thinking, "Wow, this is good," and enjoying it, and thinking, I understand why people are cross about it, but come on, it's not so horrendous that I don't feel I can watch it again. So lighten up a bit. Yeah. But having said, and so I watched it. I don't know whether I can't remember if I watched the whole run, the whole 5 years, but I suspect not, to be honest. But yeah, I do remember watching it as a kid and enjoying it. But it's not something I've revisited since.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting on the sort of critic response, because there was a little bit of that even in the US from what I've been able to look up, and there were backlashes in with like politicians in Florida who are like, oh my God, you can't show this violence. You can't, don't tell all of America how bad Miami is. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. And so there's some of that, but I get the impression that while you had some of those kind of conservative detractors, because you got to remember, Florida is a massive conservative state. It's generally goes red, in election times like that. So I'm not surprised that politicians were upset about it, because oh my God, tourist dollars. We got to keep these beaches open for the 4th of July. Kind of
Jaws
thing.
all over again.
It is, yeah. I can imagine I can imagine that might be partly why. But at the same time, the public, the general American public, were loving it. And something we'll get into a little bit later, the effect that the show had actually helped Florida in a positive way.
Yeah.
Both aesthetically and with tourist dollars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah. Absolutely. And it was the same over here. The critic. It's very often the case, isn't it? The critics give it a hard time for reasons which really are pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the public lap it up like nobody's business. And it was the same over here. It was massive over here. And I remember older kids at school trying to dress like Don Johnson, from but not looking anything like him, really. Looking like a sort of Marks and Spencer's equivalent.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, trying the best to look like it, and everyone had their hair trying to get their hair like him, and he was big. He was a major part of the success over here. Yes. Men wanted to, it's the old Bond thing. Men wanted to be him, and women wanted to, marry him.
Yeah, he has that cool guy shtick down very, very well. It's like, this guy's cool. Let's see what he does. He's cool. He's morally righteous. You know what I mean? And but he's also, but there's that bad boy element to him that you're just like, he's that classic. He's really is that sort of classic action hero guy that you're like, he's got all those components. He's not too bad. He's not too this or that and the other. He's just all the right levels of to be like, everyone wants to be like him, and like you said, like he's a well-made character. I think
he is a well-made character. Yeah, he's a well-made character, and he's a riff on a board. He's a riff of a character that's bordering on cliche. But the thing about cliches is they stay around. They stay around for a reason. Cliches, and that is because they're a great idea.
Definitely.
In the first place. So, and I think Crockett is one of those.
Yes. Well, okay. The way we're going to structure this episode is slightly different than some of our standard ones. So we're not really going to go into the production per se of the first episode, but elements of the first episode and general commentary on the show as a whole. So obviously, as we mentioned, it was created by Anthony Yerkovich, who is quoted as saying, even when I was on Hill Street Blues, I was collecting information on Miami. I thought of it as a sort of modern day Casablanca, which I thought is really, really apt. I like what he's going for with that. But it's also interesting. I don't know if you knew this, Matt. There is a character in Hill Street Blues named Sonny Crockett.
No, I didn't know that.
It's a one-off character, I believe, played by someone who looks nothing like what will become this version of Sonny Crockett. But he took the name from that show that he was working on. But it's like he's like a big giant fat biker man.
Right.
who's like a bad guy, I think, if I remember right. But nothing like Don Johnson at all, which is hilarious to me.
It's a great name. It's a superb name.
Yeah, James Sonny Crockett. Like that is that,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
So good.
Like it's got that American myth feel to it. That Crockett, it just feels like, you know, Davy Crockett. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, Sonny Crockett, it just has that American myth.
Yeah, it has. And Crockett is just I don't know. There's just something about it that says,
yes,
great hero name.
Yes, you know? yes. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's always hard to get a good. It's always good to get a good hero name, but some of the best names have that harsh sound to them. Like I think of Dexter. You think of, Philip Marlowe doesn't have one. Marlowe's just kind of, but then you have Spencer, and there's something, Magnum. That it just there's something punchy about that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I would put James Bond in that. You know, that is just a name.
Yes. There's punchy,
it's a dull name.
Punchiness to it.
It's a dull name, but it's a double punch. James Bond. You know.
Yes.
They are good names, and Crockett, I think, is one of them. I just think it's because it's not a name that you would think of.
No,
it wouldn't occur to me. I don't know if it's a common American name. The only one I can think of is Davy Crockett and Sonny.
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, so
maybe it is. Don't know.
Yeah. So great name.
So on the casting side, Don Johnson, who plays Sonny Crockett, initially NBC did not want him. He was labeled as pilot poison.
Yeah,
and this is because he was the star of 5 pilots that all failed.
Yeah,
and others were considered for this role. I'll spit some of their names out, and then we can talk about them.
Okay.
We have Nick Nolte, Jeff Bridges, Gary Cole, Larry Wilcox from Chips.
Yep.
Were some of the big ones that were brought in. What do we think about these guys in the role?
I can sort of Nick Nolte I can see, but it would have turned into 48 hours. Yeah, and it would have been too crazy. I think it would have been, because the thing about Crockett for me is I don't get the sense that Crockett is out of control no matter what he's doing. I get the sense that he knows exactly what he's doing. And I think he's probably cleverer but in terms of detective clever, planning ahead.
Yes.
Than his appearance might suggest. And I think Nick Nolte is too much of a loose cannon. The aura he gives.
He's insane.
Loose cannon. And the thing about Nick Nolte is even when he's playing a role, he carries that through with him.
Yes.
So. But at this time, he would have been. I mean, the 48 Hours is a good film, but it's not what I want Sonny Crockett to be.
No. I like Jeff Bridges. I think would be a great. Yeah. I think of Jeff Bridges as someone who would have been very, very cool in this role. Mainly because he does have that sparkle that Don Johnson has.
Yes.
And that playfulness, but also the seriousness. I think he as an alternative, he's probably the only one that I read that thought, this show still probably would have been a hit even with him.
Me too. He's the only one that I would fully back.
Yeah.
He's the only other.
Sorry, Gary Cole and Larry Wilcox.
Well, Larry Wilcox is just.
Yeah.
I knew him. I only know him from Chips. I don't think he's done much since, unless he's been like guest spots. And he's too nice. He was too nice. Yes. He looks like a farm boy. He looks like John Walton. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I don't think Crockett should look like that. I think Crockett should look tough. He should look cool and like Don Johnson. He should look fashionable, but he should also look as if he can handle himself. And Larry Wilcox, I think, just doesn't.
No, I'm looking at pictures of him now, and I'm just like, with his sort of, he almost has like Farrah Fawcett like hair, but
he
like
has got he used to have this massive bouffant blonde hairdo, and how it fitted under that Chip's helmet, God only knows.
No, but that's the other thing. When you think about, I mean, even when you think about Chips, it's Eric Estrada who people talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You never wanted to,
No one wanted to be Will Cox's character, whose name I don't remember.
Yeah, he was called John. You didn't want to be John, but
John Baker. What a boring name, John Baker.
Yeah, you want
as opposed
to be
to
Poncherelli.
Poncherelli. What's his name?
Yeah, Poncherelli.
Poncherelli. That's it. Again, punchy name. Is punches in the name almost?
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, he went by Punch, didn't he? They called him Punch, didn't they?
They called him Punch. Yeah,
that's it. Punch. Punch.
John and Punch. And
yeah, punch. It's something to it. Not, hey, John.
It's a punch in the face. And he was always the more interesting of the two.
Yes.
And who's the other one? Gary Cole. Yeah,
nah. Sorry, Gary.
Sorry, Gary. But,
it's all Gary.
I think Gary Cole's a fine actor. I used to like Midnight Caller. I'm not sure how well it's aged, but I used to be a real fan of Midnight Caller. And he's in some good films when he's playing like sleazy politicians and stuff.
Yeah, no.
But he ain't Sonny Crockett.
Great actor, but just not right for this role.
He's not right for this role, no. And the other one I saw who was considered was Mickey Rourke.
Ooh.
Who he turned it down as far from my reading, but I think there was also some school of thought that thought his performance wasn't good enough. That he wasn't good enough to carry it off. Now at this time he would have had the looks, but he's far too laid back.
Yeah, I would have liked that.
He's too sort of hippie-ish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you look at him in Body Heat and you look at him in Angel Heart and you look at him in films of this era, he's got that drawl and he's got that sort of chilled out drawl.
Yeah, no.
When Crockett's angry in this, you
feel it.
He's proper angry. You feel it. Yeah. So, of all of them, they went with the right one. That's the first thing. And Jeff Bridges is a close second, but the rest of them would have been probably not got past the pilot. Thought.
So for Philip Michael Thomas, I was struggling to find alternatives. Did you find any alternatives for Tubbs? Any alternatives for Tubbs?
Tubbs? No, I didn't. I couldn't find any alternatives.
Maybe he was just the ace in the hole for them. Don't know.
Perhaps he was.
Now,
and again, he's a great performance from him. Great performance.
Yes, yeah, no, he's excellent in this. They both are. They're a perfect dynamic duo. They really are. They bounce off each other perfectly, and it's exactly what you need in a show like this. I mean, it's an example of where it doesn't work. I mentioned already Elementary. I like Johnny Lee Miller. I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he's underserved by Lucy Liu as his sidekick, who is so dull in that show. I've seen Lucy Liu in other things where she's good. She is not good in Elementary. It was a reason why I stopped watching. I just like, nope, this is so boring.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it becomes more about her than it does about him, and that to me is fatal. That's is fatal in a Holmes thing.
So this Miami Vice was on NBC. And it really was a game changer for the genre. It was a game changer for NBC. It had a primetime slot, a 10 p.m. primetime slot. I guess people like to stay up later back in the days and watch their TV shows, which reminded me a bit when I was young, and I would watch Star Trek episodes, and they would always be on like 10 o'clock at night. And which was always great because it was like you had to go out and do stuff, and then you'd come home, and then you'd watch your Star Trek episode from 10 to 11, then you'd go to bed. Which is such a very different way of TV nowadays.
No, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so it had a primetime slot for the first couple of seasons, then it lost that, but we'll get to that just a little bit later. But this thing was expensive. Very expensive. Each episode cost around 1.2 million.
Yeah.
And was said to be one of the most expensive shows. And I agree, it does show. And 10K of that for each episode went just to music rights alone. And when I was rewatching these episodes, I was flabbergasted. I forgot how many hits they're playing, hit after hit after hit after hit. Yes.
Yeah.
And it just, but it worked. And it was one of the first shows to do something like that. And boy, does it work.
It does work.
But
it places it in a very specific time and place. And I don't say that as a criticism. I say that as an absolute word of praise, because this is a great example to me of right place, right time. I think the schedules needed this. It needed this sort of kick in the pants to stir it up a bit. And the 80s was the time to do it. And well, some of the acts that are in this, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of all of them, I have to say. And but some of them and some of the songs that are used, even in the pilot, even just in the pilot,
fantastic.
Like you say, it's soundtrack dream.
Oh well, I mean, speaking of that, I mean the composer of the theme, Jan Hammer. This song was top 100 in the it was the last instrumental to hit the top 100 until 2013.
Yeah, and if there was such a thing as mobile phones in the mid 80s, it would have been your ringtone.
Oh yes, it would have been. And it's funny because the thing that knocked it off was High School Musical.
Man.
But the soundtrack itself was huge. It was apparently an instant success. That thing came out, record sales skyrocketed. But like people, you got Phil Collins, Tina Turner, Glenn Frey. There are all these people on the soundtrack, and it's a fantastic soundtrack. There's playlists on Spotify of all the Miami Vice acts who are on there, and it is one of the best. It is the most entertaining playlist to sit and listen to, because there's not a dull moment.
No, there's not. So I mean, you've named a few there, but there's people like Roger Daltrey, Duran Duran. I mean, Kate Bush is on there, Meatloaf, Phil Collins, Tina Turner,
Amy Grant.
I mean, Dire Straits, ZZ Top, Pink Floyd. I mean, they're all there. They're all there. It's a perfect musical time capsule.
Yeah.
Of the time this show was produced. And
and I think
it really does work.
Yeah, and I think there's probably people who are going to think, oh, well, you see that all the time. Not back in this time.
Not in 1985.
Really one of the most this is one of the most pioneering TV shows to do this sort of thing. And I mean, you think about it now, and I mentioned shows like Smallville because I watched that when I was a kid. Smallville does this every episode. They use these musical cues from some of the best current pop music and classic rock and pop to punctuate moments, to emphasize mood, to make you think and feel and relate to characters. And that this is really the show that kicked that off. And we see it all the time. We saw it with the pilot episode of Friends. You have that moment where Ross is sitting there looking out the window while it's raining, while U2's With or Without You is playing. You didn't get that in comedy before, you know what I mean? And it's from this show that shows, hey, people like the injection of this our pop music, and it works in two levels. It brings the music people in, but it also brings people to the music. And there was this reciprocal kind of nature here, and record companies were desperate to get their acts on this show because it was skyrocketing sales. And as someone who was around at the time, you didn't get it. What you got was, you generally got a theme tune that was written by Mike Post, who did the A-Team and Rockford Files, and I think he did Magnum, didn't he? I can't remember now, maybe.
But you generally got that, and then you got pretty standard action musical fare, which was like, trumpets and the occasional electric guitar and things like that. You watch an episode of the A-Team, that was pretty standard. Yes. So when you suddenly and opportune moments as well. So when Crockett is, they're driving through Miami at night on quite a downer, and you get Phil Collins. I mean, I'm not a fan of Phil Collins, but you get In the Air Tonight coming. You were like, what? You don't do this on TV.
Yeah.
And
it's what you do in the movies, not in TV.
Yeah. I mean, not so. A few years after this, you were getting it in Train Spotting, and
oh yeah,
he's using Iggy Pop and all that sort of stuff. But you weren't getting it on an hour-long cop show from America. It wasn't happening.
No.
So now people think it is a common thing, and and it's the whole Stranger Things with Kate Bush and running up that hill. Everyone says, "Oh well, it's." But 40 years ago, we created
its origins, man. This is its origins.
Yeah, we sort of created it.
Yeah, absolutely. Go noir. Noir is always leading the way in some way.
Yeah.
I feel like you can always trace it back to noir.
And yeah, you're right. And it's a beautiful.
We're gonna rename the podcast. Everything goes back to noir.
Yeah, shall we? We'll get T-shirts.
We can talk about it whenever we want.
I'm gonna make a placard and walk through the city centre with it. But you're right. It's a perfect synchronism because it makes money for everyone.
Yeah,
it gives the show a unique quality. That rises it above just a cop show.
Yes,
and it sets a period atmosphere.
Yeah,
for want of a better phrase.
Yeah,
that this show is all about. It's brilliant, and like I say, that if you didn't have that theme tune as your ringtone, if they existed, you would have had Axel F. You'd have had Foley's theme. You'd have had one of the two.
Exactly. Oh, God.
You know what I mean?
Yes, of course. Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop. That's another thing that's out of this time. Like, come on, man. This is home runs out every other.
It is a silver age, definitely. The 80s.
Seriously. Now, the other thing that I think really elevates Miami Vice is location. The use of Miami streets is so huge, and I think you get the same thing from Magnum, and you get the same thing from Spencer and other TV shows when they can film on location in places. And actually, a really good example is Spencer. Those first 3 seasons set in Boston are fantastic. When they canceled the show, despite the ratings being huge, there was massive fan backlash. There was huge petitions, and they brought the show back for TV movies. They moved the production to like Canada. Now, everything felt different. The sets weren't the same. The locations weren't the same, and it just didn't feel the same. And it goes to show you just how important physical location can be to pulling things together. And I think they made a smart move by using Miami streets, but they were going to use Hollywood. They were going to do interiors in LA, but they changed their mind on that because it's 3,000 miles away. You got to ship your actors back and forth. That's a lot of money. So they just put everyone up in a studio in Florida. And I think having everything being done on location just helped with everything gelling together.
It does. And it's not the only example of it. I mean,
no.
I look at this and I say, this is Miami Vice, and it is undeniably in Miami. And Miami is a character in it.
Yeah.
And one of the strongest feelings I have about another show that does that is Morse and Oxford.
Oh my God, yes. Yes.
If you film Morse anywhere else and pretend it's Oxford, it'll be as flat as a pancake. Because part of the appeal of that show and part of the importance of the success of that show was those locations. And it's the same with this. It's the same with this.
Yeah. Actually, building off that, Luther, those first 3 or 4 seasons of Luther, which are all London-centric, I can't remember the creator of Luther's name. It's just kind of on my head. But he was very much it was a London show, and it had to be filmed in London. Now, you get to the fucking Netflix movie version of Luther, where he's like, is standing on top of skyscrapers like he's fucking Batman, and then he's being dropped into like the Arctic just in his stupid little gray coat and plunging through the snow. It's stupid as shit.
It's stupid.
It's like you've taken everything that made this feel. I could walk around London and feel like Luther could exist, and then you get to the film and you're like, now Luther can't exist. You could walk around Miami and be like, these guys might have existed, because this feels authentic. It doesn't feel hyper. It's that sense of authenticity that I think is
you get it in Ian Rankin's Rebus books.
The shows, and
the newer shows certainly, because
even the older ones I thought utilized Edinburgh very well.
They did. I think some of the Ken Stott ones are Glasgow, but I might be wrong.
I think they might be. I might
be wrong on that. Yeah. But the John Hannah ones are all Edinburgh, and you can and you're right. It adds the old Richard Donner thing. It adds verisimilitude.
Yes.
To what you are watching when you know what you're watching is fiction. It just adds a dose of reality. A dose of reality to say this is the real place. And if you fly out to Miami, in 1985, you will see this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it will be how you see it on TV. It's vitally important. If you're going to call a series Miami Vice, you better be sure you said it in Miami.
Right. I mean, yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And I think the other thing is, as I mentioned earlier, sort of hinted at the fact that the show was also a benefit for Miami, because what they were doing, there was a visual palette that the show was going for, kind of three main kind of colors that they were working with, which meant that there were times where they were literally repainting buildings and making Miami look nicer. It was investing in the visual aesthetics of not just for the show of the but of the city for the show's purposes, but as a fallback, it was also making people think, oh, hey, Miami looks pretty nice. Maybe we should go hang out in Miami. It's, come on, But the other thing that's also interesting with location wise, it said that it was very easy to film on location because they were filming in heavily like crime ridden and like poverty stricken areas that were mostly filled with old people. And they would sometimes cast like local old people who lived in and around the area just as extras, which I just think is so funny.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
But I do remember people saying over here, go, better not go to Miami. It's all drugs and guns, and that's how real it seemed to people an ocean away,
Yeah.
And that's this is what we think, just as I'm sure, just as in the States, people think, Oxford is what they see on moors. This is what we thought Miami was.
Yeah.
And to all intents and purposes, it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, those beaches look pretty fun.
Yeah, they do. And we used to, I used to love the opening titles, even where with all those like flamingos and the camera going over the ocean, over the water and stuff.
Right.
Even that was exotic, even that was
sure
like guaranteeing something. It's the old thing they say about the Bond books and the first Bond films. You didn't see stuff like this when you were growing up in 1980s Manchester.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. People didn't see Jamaica in the 1950s. It was like a fantasy world.
Yeah.
And this was the same. This had the same sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
But location absolutely vital to something like this. When it's so obviously about the place it's set, you've got to get it right.
Yeah. So on the sort of visual style, which is interesting, like I said, Michael Mann had sort of a mandate as to what could be used color wise, and there were certain colors that just weren't allowed. So Bobby Roth, who was one of the directors of Miami Vice, he's quoted as saying that there were colors that you weren't allowed to use, two of those being red and brown. And he said that in a script. So if he's quoted saying, if a Mercedes pulls up here, and they'll show you three different colors of cars, three different colors of Mercedes, and one will be white, black, or silver. And you won't get a red or a brown one, because Michael Mann's like, he's saying, no, you aren't going to have these, because these are the ones that will pop. And, look, he knows at this point in time, he knew what he was talking about, knew what he was doing. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to go back into it, but I don't know where that insight went for the film.
Yeah, quite.
But, you knew what you were doing here. And I think that needed to continue in the film.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
Couldn't agree more.
I just don't get it. But I think the other thing that's really cool is that there's a sense of reality that we were talking about, but I think you also get that from Johnson and Thomas as well, playing Crockett and Tubbs. And Tubbs. I can't, every time I just Tubbs. I just can't not do it. What's interesting is I was reading where Don Johnson spent time with undercover cops who did this, essentially the job that he was going to be doing on the show, and was quite moved by them, and took a lot from he learned a lot about their camaraderie. I can't say it for some reason.
Sparking off one at each other.
There you go. Yes, yeah, that word that I cannot get out of my mouth.
Camaraderie.
So and I think you feel that. I think you feel that with the way, not just the way he's engaging with Tubbs, but literally the way he's engaging with everyone in the office. There's these little throwaway lines that he's throwing that going to people, and it feels. There's this moment where he's in the precinct, and he's trying to talk to Gina, and there's another girl's trying to maybe show him something and getting in his way, and it just felt like a busy, authentic place. It didn't feel like a set, and I loved that.
I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it adds so much.
I don't know if any of that was improvised,
don't either,
or whether it was scripted. But either way, it comes again. It's the reality of it. It comes across as, I believe that he works there.
Yeah,
I believe that he walks in there every morning and does what he does, what we see him do, and goes home again. And you can't always say that, can you? You can't always say that you believe that character absolutely is part of that environment. But I do with this. I do with this. And you're right. He does have these little one-liners, and you get the sense that these aren't people who have met for the first time. Again, sometimes
there's history.
It's very obvious that they are. You're meant to know that they've been colleagues for ages, but you don't feel it, But he has a line where he asks one of the girls, "Is she the forensic girl or something?" And she says she's always liked him, and he says, "Oh yeah, so what about all those 3 rejected dinner invitations?" And I think. Yeah, I believe he's done that, and I also believe he didn't give up on the first one,
Yeah, yes.
There's all that sort of camaraderie with everybody, and it's not just reserved for Tubbs. And that I like that. I think again that's to the show's absolute benefit, that it makes the minor characters seem like real people.
Yes,
that you interact with every day.
Yeah, I think based on that, let's jump into the story, because I think I love the opening. The opening with Tubbs is great when he's got his sawed-off shotgun, but the opening particularly with Crockett and Eddie Riviera, who's played by Jimmy Smits. Yes, he plays Princess Leia's adopted dad in Star Wars, the prequel trilogy. He also plays a character in Dexter, which is another Miami-based show, and he's like a main character for a whole season of Dexter, and he's a fantastic character in that show. But that opening scene, just those two guys talking, Crockett and Eddie just talking while they're waiting for their drug dude to kind of come and pick them up. Felt so authentic. It felt real. There felt like a history there, and Eddie's like, man, I'm gonna go call my wife, and he goes to walk inside. Then the car pulls up, and the guy, guy's here. Come on, let's go. So he doesn't go and call his wife, and so you feel there's a real sense of, you feel that partnership, and I think it is then further exemplified, because the next thing that happens is they go to a drug transaction, and a car blows up, and Eddie is murdered, and Crockett is the one who has to go tell Eddie's wife. And we have one scene and one scene only, if I remember, with Eddie's wife, and it's a very big, powerful scene, and there's very little dialogue. Crockett doesn't say what happened. She's just like, wait, what's wrong? Oh my, and he's like, I'm sorry, and then she starts wailing, and it's like, there's a sense of life. There's a sense of lived-in world happening. And
absolutely,
the story didn't revolve around Eddie, and didn't revolve around his wife, but these brief moments that we had with them leave an impact.
Yeah,
on.
Yeah, putting it bluntly, Eddie really is a plot catalyst.
Definitely,
he's the reason that Crockett wants to do what he ends up doing. Yeah, because he's his partner. That's all he is. But what this show does that so many don't, and so many films don't, is they make you believe in that plot catalyst as a person. So we know about Eddie's home life. We know about his wife. And like you say, it's so economically done.
Yeah.
But it packs a massive punch for very little screen time.
Yeah.
And that is good writing, because we don't need to see any more of Crockett and Eddie than we get. We get it all in that one exchange. Yeah. And it's one of those exchanges that, like you say, it's so realistic, and it's how people talk. And it's one of the things I like about these sort of things when it's done well is when it's so well written and so well acted that they sort of talk over each other.
Yeah.
Because that's how people talk. That's how people can have conversations.
Yeah.
And there's an element of that, not much of it, but there's an element of that in that exchange. And these are two men who are at peace with each other. They are at ease with each other, and they are looking out for each other. And the fact that one of the first things we see Crockett do is not necessarily console, but it's an emotional scene. One of the first things we see Crockett do is emotional rather than physical. Yeah, is a brilliant bit of storytelling.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because this whole sort of moment sets up all sorts of stuff, and this is when Crockett is like, I think we got a leak in the department, and the lieutenant's like, shut the fuck up, Tubbs, or not Tubbs, shut the fuck up, Crockett. We do not, which is fun, because when Tubbs says it later on, now you got a leaky department, Crockett is like, you shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
and he's angry because it's like he knows that Tubbs is right, and he knows that this leak is also what got his friend killed. Even though the show doesn't come out and the show isn't telling you that this is what he's thinking and saying, but his reaction is so visceral because well, if you think about what's just happened to him and his reaction, now he's being told what he's told his lieutenant, and it's all rooted in the fact that his buddy got killed. It's all bubbling to the surface now. He's pissed off because Tubbs is right, and he's not been investigating it properly because he's sort of buried his head in the sand a little bit, thinking, well, okay, maybe there isn't one, and now it's like, oh crap, maybe there actually is.
Yeah, he's believed, hasn't he? He's sort of believed his superior over his own instincts.
Yes,
and lo and behold, what do we get out of that? We get a character journey for Crockett. Who'd have thought it? That there might be some intelligent writing in, in Hollywood, because he goes on a journey because he realized that Tubbs makes him realize that he was right all along, as you just said, and that now it's time to start to work together to do it. It's a pivotal moment, but it comes in a believable and natural way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's so well done. This is so well done.
Now that car bombing,
a lot of cinema
scene,
films.
Yeah. The car bombing scene is fantastic. The actual explosion. Brilliant. There are action scenes in this 2-part episode, because the pilot is 2 parts, 2 episodes, but which is kind of why we're talking about it, because it's essentially a film. The way it opens and ends is it could easily have just been a movie.
It could have just been a movie. Yeah.
2 cops working different ends of investigation come together and solve a problem, and then at the end there's this hint of like, hey, why don't you come work with me? Easily, it's literally like the plot of the setup of The Nice Guys. It's the same kind of.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And in many ways, I would have been quite happy to have had this as a film. Yeah. And not heard of Crockett and Tubbs ever again. In many ways,
could have worked. Yeah, absolutely.
It could have worked as a standalone film, but
definitely. But you know, and this is one of the main producer of the show said, you know, we're literally making a 1 hour movie a week. And I think the action scenes speak to that. So like the car bomb is such a big, exciting, it's not a pissy little explosion. It's like a whoa, that was huge. You felt that explosion. It like sears your eyebrows off just by watching it. Just
by watching it, yeah, it does.
You know,
it does.
On top of that, you have that great, you know, I love the car chase, the car chasing the boat scene where Crockett is in the car chasing Tubbs, who's in the boat.
Yeah.
And that's exciting as shit.
Exciting as they come. Yeah.
You know,
it really
he throws the car up on 2 wheels, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
he diamonds or forever's it.
Yeah, he does. He does. And he's looking cool all the time he's doing it. You know, it's just brilliant. Yeah, you're right. These are cinematic set pieces. And, you know, I was going to say on a TV budget, but I suppose they are, but it's a big TV budget.
It's a big TV budget, but it's still a TV budget.
But it's still a TV budget. And they make every cent show.
They utilize that budget very, very well in these opening episodes for sure.
Yeah, I can't say whether the $1 million an episode or the movie a week ethos continues throughout the show. I can't say that. Yeah, because I don't remember well enough. But I have carried on watching after watching these two. So I have carried on watching because I'm sort of revisiting it. But in this opening, I'm going to say opening film. In this opening film, they are definitely on that on that path without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, and the other thing that's interesting is there's so many shows that do 2-part episode intros, you know, pilots, 2-part pilots. I think of Star Trek Next Generation. I think Deep Space Nine did as well. There's a lot that do that, and they have this sort of awkwardness to them at times where you can so clearly see, all right, well, this is the end of episode 1. Now we're on to episode 2. And you could split them apart, or you could maybe watch them together. This is like, no, you need to watch this as one solid piece. They're not presented as one solid piece; they're presented as 2 episodes. But you know that despite that fact, they, you know, if someone stitched these 2 together, and there was no break, there was no end credits, there was no opening credits, it would work as a very perfect 80-minute film.
It certainly would. There's no argument there from me.
Yeah, actually, it's over 80 minutes because they're like 48-minute long episodes. This is back when episodes were much longer.
Yeah, it'd easily be an hour and a half. I think hour and 35 minutes maybe. And but I agree that there's no resolution at the end of episode 1. There's nothing that makes you. It isn't it's 2 episodes. Perfect
middle point. It's like we're in the middle and things are heating up. You need to find out what happens. Heating up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's 2. It's not 2 episodes strung together. To make a pilot. It's a film cut in half. I know that sort of sounds like the same thing, but it's not to me, because I think the A-Team had a 2-episode pilot as well, and I think if you watch that, you can see this is really just one, like 2 missions,
right?
You know, sort of strung together, but not presented as that. But really, it is, because it's not a continuous narrative. This is
Mexican Sleigh Rider was a feature-length pilot, so yes, it was 2 episodes.
Right, there you go. And it's a long time since I've seen it, but I don't remember feeling like the way I felt about this, which is this is a film cut in half to appear on a TV network.
Yes,
rather than 2 stories cobbled together to make one.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I this is just really just the pacing, the action, the character that's happening in this is amazing. And back to Crockett, actually, I love the birthday scene.
Yeah,
where he's got a 6-year-old kid who's just had his birthday. It's the same day that Eddie has died, and he rocks up he's still all covered in the schmutz from the explosion.
Covered in crab, yeah.
You know. Yeah. And everyone's like, where have you been? But no one's like, why are you a mess? Which I find really funny that no one asked, the hell is wrong with your suit? But but I love this sort of he's there, and one guy's like, man, you're like half in the bag.
Yeah.
And you there's, I mean, you kind of understand what's going on, but as these scenes play out and we start learning a little bit about his relationship with Caroline, his wife, and she's just like, I hate this. I hate that you are so job focused that this is literally why we can't be together, because this is everything that all of this has to come first over everything, including our son. And but at the same time, I appreciated that the show didn't try to make, at least in these openings, doesn't try to make Crockett come across as a neglectful or deadbeat dad, because he still shows up to the party.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He's late, and that will probably scar the kid, but he still shows up to the party. And there's that sweet scene where, he's like, I'm gonna go hang out with my son for a bit, and they've fallen asleep together, in his kid's bed, and he's
clutching a cop car.
He's giving him a cop car, which is the irony of that.
Yeah.
But it shows that they have a relationship. It's not that the kid doesn't want to spend time with his dad. It's not that he's so distant. There is things that keep him away, and they sort of build on this a few episodes later, where she, serves him divorce papers, and she wants to move to like Georgia or something like that, and he's really pissed off about it, because he's like, you're not taking my kid away from me, and it's because he's not a bad dad. He wants to spend time with his son, and he does spend time with his son. And she's the one who wants to leave, and it has nothing to do with him being bad. So I do like the fact that it's a complicated relationship. He's got a complicated job, but he is not pictured as a worthless, useless.
No, and he hasn't turned up drunk. He hasn't turned up. And
they
also
say he's half in the bag, but I didn't get drunk.
I don't get that vibe, though, do you?
Vibes. No, I got tired, exhausted, sad vibes from him.
Yeah, so do I. And if you think about it, well, I mean, what's he gone through that day?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And he still turns up. And I think it's good that he turns up as a mess, because he's got to get there as quickly as he can.
Yes.
So, or he feels he's got to get there as quickly as he can. If that means he turns as a mess, well, I'm afraid it was a bad day at work, sort of thing. And and I like the bit at the end. I mean, it's a little bit cheesy, but I like the bit later on where he says he phones Carol, and
Caroline,
says,
Carol.
I just wanted to know it was real. What we had, I just wanted to know it was real. And she says, "You're damn right it was." But your job is a pisser on relationships, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it all adds to his complexity. Because he could give up the job, but he feels he can't. But he knows that he had something, and it was real, and it produced the son. And I get that. I'm like you. I don't get the feeling he's a deadbeat. Quite the opposite. He might be late, but he'll be there.
Yeah.
And a lot of cops now, a lot of cop characters now will have forgotten the birthday, or
yes,
not got a present because they didn't have time, or whatever it might be, and they'll be a bit woe is me that the partner's died, when meaning the partner is more important than the family, And Crockett isn't that at all. He's not that at all. He's much more complex than that.
Oh, I agree, absolutely. So Tubbs, he also has an interesting journey in this episode, in this two-parter.
Yeah.
I'm not, well, we'll get into dislikes a little in a short while, but while I thought Tubbs's storyline was interesting, he definitely had less material to chew on than what Don Johnson was given, than what Crockett was given. And I feel it's sort of, because this is this isn't a star co-star. This is you got two leading men in your show, and they both have perfectly valid and interesting storylines. And I think Tubbs going after what's his name, Cardellone, whatever.
Yeah, Cardellone.
The whatever the drug dealer, the was it not the, well, where's he from? The Colombian. He's going after the Colombian. And again, this is Crockett and Tubbs are coming at this guy from different angles, and it's all because we find out, I think, in episode 2 that actually it was Tubbs' brother that the Colombian killed, and so therefore Tubbs is out for revenge. He's on a revenge plot, and I'm all for that. I love that, but the show tried to inject an element of mystery as to who Tubbs really is,
mm-hmm.
and I think that hurt Tubbs's character in a little bit in this episode, because they start showing these flashbacks of someone getting killed, and you're like, I don't know who the fuck that is. I don't remember this happening. No. Did this, because the opening with we first meet Tubbs in New York City, and he's stalking the Colombian because he's wanting to kill him. And there's that fantastic scene where he's walking through the club and he's in that hallway walking towards the bathroom. So dark, everything that's black is pitch black, and then those neon red bathroom sign is so
brilliant
fucking
looking,
awesome.
Brilliant looking sequence,
Oh, it's something straight out of like the Terminator. So it's just
it's so good, and it's good. And the colors are so sort of vibrant. That
saturation is so high, and it's
beautiful, so high,
beautiful,
so vibrant, and he in his own right is as cool as they come.
He's so slick.
He's so slick. But I didn't like the. I thought it was unnecessary. The whole thing about Crockett being told that Tubbs had died 3 years ago, whatever it was, So who is he? Which is what you're talking about.
Yes.
It was just an extra layer of inverted commas intrigue that wasn't particularly intriguing, and I think didn't need it. The film didn't need it.
Yeah, I would have been absolutely fine if we knew the whole time that he was just after his brother's killer. I think that would have been perfectly reasonable, and it would have also been perfectly reasonable if Tubbs was keeping that keeping that information from Crockett, and then it eventually slips out that, oh my God, this is what you're doing. This has nothing to do with justice. You're here because of revenge.
You're here for revenge. That would
have been equally just as fine.
You would have got the same antagonism.
Yeah,
and you would have got the same point across.
Yeah,
because all it really is doing, all they want to do in my book, is show that he was starting to trust Tubbs a little bit, and now feels he can't, and they've got to win that back in the third act. Well, yeah, fair enough. There's no problem with that, but you don't need to try and convince me that Tubbs isn't who he is, who he says he is. That's almost cheating me. That's almost blindsiding me, and that's not fair. That's not fair writing in a crime story.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I had the same thought. We don't need this silly little bit of intrigue. What we need is Tubbs' motivations to not be what he says they are.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Crockett finds that out and says, "You've lied to me."
Yes,
you're in the same. Absolutely. You're in the same canoe there. It's just that you've got in it on a different side. You know what I mean? It's the same point, and it's the same plot device, but done better. I think it would have been better.
Yeah, it's narratively, it's the only big issue that I have is that particular trail.
And the reason it stands out for me, is because the rest of it is so good.
Oh God,
you think, oh come on, is this just a bad day at the office for the writers? Because you're better than this. You're better than this.
Yes.
Whereas it might not have been such a problem in something of a much lower standard.
Possibly, very, very, very possibly. The other thing I was going to say is I also really love the relationship that is built up between Crockett and Gina. So Gina is the other police officer who occasionally has to work the streets like she's a sex worker, which again is the same job that Deb has in Dexter's sister. When we first meet her, she's working the streets just like just like Gina is. I'm like, oh my God, again, Dexter has it's gotta be.
Yeah, it sounded like it, innit?
Yeah. But I think they had great chemistry.
I just
I think they also have some incredibly cracking dialogue. There's a scene with them on the boat, on Crockett's boat, where he uses the Murtaugh line. He says, "I'm getting too old for this," which obviously this predates Lethal Weapon, which made me think Shane Black 100% took this line from that, because we already know from our previous episode on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang that he when he mines stuff from other things, which is, I mean, that's a valid thing. This is not a criticism. It's fun. It's fun to think, oh my God, I wonder if Shane Black was inspired by Lethal Weapon when he took that line from Murtaugh, because that is the same line. I'm getting too old for this. He just added this shit.
yeah, it's like a fanboy type thing.
yeah. But further in that scene where she's like, "Do you ever forget who you are?" And his response, he's like, "Darling, sometimes I remember who I am." What a hard-boiled line.
That is a hard-boiled line, isn't it?
That's great.
I mean, that's the sort of line you can hear Mitchum saying in his heyday.
Oh, know? Yes.
And it's so good. I mean, that is a typical. You said before about people saying, why are you doing this when it's not noir? That is noir.
Yes. That is that attitude line, right there.
In one line, that's noir attitude. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is where, again, this is maybe an element of complication for the plot, but there is a part of me that I sort of, I'm really into Crockett and Gina's relationship, and I'm not that interested in Crockett and Caroline's.
No.
And I think that's because these two have more chemistry. Whereas I don't feel chemistry. I mean, I get it that they're divorced, and that could be why there's less chemistry there. But there's just, Crockett seems so interested and so keen on Gina that I'm just sort of like, I don't know why you're questioning or still like hung up on your ex. Well, I guess you're still married. You're separated and you're still married. But it's a complicated back and forth.
I know what you mean. The dialogue makes it more exciting for me, and and the way that they play off each other makes it more exciting to watch. And there is a thing about the ex-wife character, isn't there? There is a thing about it for me, which is, well, do I care? Really?
Yes, no. Oh, because like you said, there's that phone call where it's like, oh, was it real? And she's like, oh, you betcha. Which is, whatever. Because the thing is, there's already been a scene with Gina that's already won you over, and it's that scene when she's like, no, they sleep together, and she's mad at herself for doing it, and she says, no, you're still in love with Caroline, and he's like, try again, lady.
Yeah.
And like that is like, there's a hot comeback right there. Like, my God.
Is that where she says you're bouncing so hard you're pretty much out of the ballpark or something?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Which again I think that's like a Chandler line.
Yeah.
A Raymond Chandler line, not.
And when you're getting dialogue like this from Crockett and Gina, the stuff that you're getting between Crockett and Caroline, just the sizzling is happening here with Gina. There's no even hint of a sizzle with Caroline. It's that relationship is so dead that I'm just sort of
yeah.
I get that maybe he's grieving something a little bit. He's grieving that relationship to some degree, but I'm struggling to feel the investment in that particular one, because I'm just like, get with Gina, she's great.
So what you're saying is, he's grieving for it, but you wonder why.
Kind of.
You're left wondering why he's bothering.
A little bit.
I know what you mean. I mean, I said it was just cheesy line, and it is, because to me, when you've got that dialogue with Gina and elsewhere where the dialogue is on fire.
Yes.
That you betcha does sound a bit like a cheap 80s thriller line.
Yeah.
And
a little bit.
It does sort of stand out a little bit. As a sort of spare leg. You know what I mean?
It does. Now, did you catch the Dirty Harry moment?
No.
Okay. So I as I was watching this, Crockett is an amalgamation of Glenn Ford's Sergeant Dave Banyan from The Big Heat He's also Lou Harper from Harper. He's also Gene Hackman's character from Night Moves, because Hackman's character in Night Moves is a failed football player. Lou Harper has a failed marriage. And Dave Banyan is that morally righteous, hard-boiled figure. He is all of these guys smashed together, which is brilliant.
I'm with you so far, yeah.
But then he also has his Dirty Harry moment, and that is after we think he has lost Tubbs in the boat chase. There's the boat chase. Tubbs goes one way, and he drives off, and you think he has given up. And then Tubbs is driving his little boat, and then there's the bridge. And standing on the bridge is Crockett, and what does Crockett
I know
do?
what you mean.
But jumps off, and they start duking it out in the same way that Dirty Harry jumps on the bus from a bridge. That I couldn't find if that was direct influence or not, but I'm going to say it 100% is.
Well, it's a massive coincidence. Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, it didn't,
as Dirty Harry all over.
Yeah, it's Dirty Harry all the way. Yeah. But this is what I like about Crockett. He is all these. It's like Frankenstein's monster of all these other characters that you've liked and admired and on occasion hated. And
also, Gene Hackman's character in Night Moves has a failed relationship as well. Isn't it?
Has a failed relationship as well. So, yeah. A failed relationship that I don't think we quite understood.
No, other than her just being an absolute jackass.
So yeah, he is like this sort of patchwork quilt of different characters, but I think that makes him all the more interesting. He's sort of the best and worst of others, but with a huge dose of his own personality, which I suspect might be a lot of Don Johnson's personality.
Oh, absolutely.
So he's certainly he's rocketed into my top 10 TV cops.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's rocketed into that because it's such a magnetic. I mean, it's his show. There's no doubt about that. You said before this isn't star and co-star, but
it should be, but it is.
It sort of is. Yeah, it isn't, but it sort of is, really.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to see on my current rewatch if Tubbs sort of comes more into his own, because he's definitely subordinate in this to Crockett. Crockett's personality is all over this opener.
Yes.
It'd be interesting to see if he does develop. I'm sure he does.
Probably. I'm sure. I mean, where he sort of goes after the first episode, he becomes a bit more interesting, and I really enjoy their back and forth. There is a sort of fire and water aspect to them, and they play off each other very, very well. So it's, I do think the show, like I said, I agree, it is leaned more in Don Johnson as star and, Tubbs as secondary, but they have a lot to contribute that, makes, both of them very, very fun and very interesting.
Yeah, because when, I suppose the best way for me to think about it, to express how I feel about it in this opening episode, is when they're alone on the screen, by which I mean not together.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy in both their companies. But when they're together, when Tubbs is on screen, I'm not pining for Crockett. Quite the opposite. I'm invested, and vice versa. But when they're together, it's Crockett I'm rooting for, and it's Crockett I'm behind, and it's Crockett I'm watching.
Yeah.
Which it's fair enough. I think that's fair enough. I think it's a mark of Don Johnson's charisma, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. No, he's very, very strong in this show. And again, it's as I'm watching through as well, I want to see where Tubbs goes and see if there's a bit more kind of
me too.
Rivalry there, because some shows, like for example, like Star Trek, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. You can't think of classic Star Trek without thinking of those three guys equally.
No,
William Shatner was the star, but in reality, it was those three guys were the star. But with Miami Vice, I do feel it is Don Johnson first, then there we go.
Yeah, it is.
Should we get into dislikes? Because I do have a couple of dislikes that are probably still worth mentioning that I haven't gone into yet.
Yeah. By all means. My main two we've discussed. My main two is that that silly intrigue with Tubbs and the love interest side of things.
Yes, those are two of mine.
Those did stand out to me.
Yes, yeah, those are two that I've already mentioned, so I won't go back into those. Yeah. One, and this is probably silly, I don't like the intro. I like the music, but I hate the intro.
I like
because
the intro.
What annoys me about it are all those stupid scenes where the camera is looking down at the ocean, and it makes me think it's going to pan up and show me something interesting, and it never pans up. It's like,
all right, well, okay, yeah.
It's like someone playing a song and then not finishing the melody.
Okay.
To me, it's setting up this, like, you're zooming fast along the ocean. It's going to pan up and show you a skyline view of Miami, and it never happens. You don't see a beach. You don't see nothing. You just see this camera aimed down at the water. That could be water anywhere.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna succumb to my nostalgia on that and say that when I first saw that as 12, 11 or 12, whatever I was, that was like, gee, look at this,
Yeah, fair enough.
But I know what you're saying. And I understand fully what you're saying.
Because I love the music. The music is great. And I'm like,
music, fab.
I'm all up for it. But that just irks me. That irks me. There is another character that sort of had me scratch my head a little bit, and that was Martin Ferrero's Trini DeSoto, the Jurassic Park lawyer, who is playing an eccentric Cuban who turns out to be a cross-dressing killer.
Yeah, what's all that about?
I don't know where where Trini comes into the story makes sense. Where he becomes a cross-dressing murderer, I don't know. I don't know if there's some sort of historical period context to cross-dressing that I'm not aware of.
I'm not aware of anything.
Florida or what, but that was hella confusing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember thinking, what?
Because we're meant to think it's that woman that killed the other not narc, but that other kind of narc from the first episode.
You
was killed by that woman on the beach.
On the beach, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And we don't ever know who she is. We don't
find out who that is.
No,
we don't find out who that is. But
you are meant to think it's the same person.
I think so. Well,
are they meant to actually be the same person?
Well, that's a thought.
But then they would have cast two different people, which is cheating.
Yeah, that's yeah. No. So I don't know. I don't know. The whole cross-dressing thing does come out of nowhere, and you are a bit sort of what? But for me, that is soon wiped away with the arrival of Crockett.
Yes,
to save the day.
Yes, it is. It was just such a confusing moment because it
is hard. There's no preparation for it. No one suggested it before.
But you do. You think it's the same. I think you're led to believe that it's the same woman who killed the guy on the beach. But is it?
Well, in that case, it's a cheat.
It would be because I'm like, well, there's everyone else sort of gets justice, but at the same time, the show ends deliciously hard boiled, and that is the Colombian gets away, and they chase him down to the airport, and Tubbs and Crockett just watch him fly away, and they're like, well, all that hard work, and just like any noir, the bad guy kind of always wins. It never ends on a happy note.
Yeah, or fate will intervene and tear down your best endeavors.
Yeah, some judge got him out. What judge?
yeah. And that is noir. This is a noir film.
Beautifully neo-noir.
This is a noir film.
Noir and pastel. I love it.
Yeah, pastel noir. That's what we'll call it. Pastel noir. But yeah, I agree. I think the ending is the right ending. I think it's I think it's a good ending. But I can go along apart from the credits, and I'm going to be stubbornly sentimental about those. I do agree about the cross-dressing thing. And again, like the Tubbs intrigue and the Tubbs identity. Do we really need it? You know, why is it there?
Yeah.
Why can't he just be a killer? I don't really get it. But unless there was something going on at the time, that they're feeding into, but I don't know if
let us know in the comments. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I certainly don't remember anything from that time.
No, I didn't either. I don't know if there was a community in Miami. I don't know. But
I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
It felt weird and felt like it just felt a little, in terms of things that maybe feel dated, that felt quite dated. It's like, all right, okay, it's the guy dressed like a woman who's a killer, but at the same time, like we didn't ever see him. I don't know. He wasn't murdering anyone previously as a woman, so that's why it's so confusing. That's why it's
confusing. Yeah, I don't necessarily read anything sort of.
Are we meant to think that all cross dressers are drug fueled psychotic murderers?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just bizarre if that's what they were going for. It's bizarre, but I don't. It's not just from a plotting point of view, from a storytelling point of view. It's not signposted anywhere, and I feel that should
bizarre.
be. I feel that should be, because surely when Tubbs is confronted by him, and because we only see him from the back, don't we? Really, we should be saying that's going to be that cross-dressing killer. Jesus, really, we're thinking, who's this woman?
Yes, well, exactly. Yeah, it was bizarre. It didn't work.
Very odd. Very odd.
No, that's really my only other two dislikes is that visual, unfinished melody of the visuals of the intro, and Martin Ferrero's weird twist at the end. But because earlier when he's in the episode, he's chewing the scene like no other. High on whatever drugs he's been taking. And it's just funny seeing him act this way, and then see him so straight laced in Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
right. And then think this is the same. Like, what range, man? What range does this guy have? And why was he not a mega star? Because holy shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this really is something else. I mean, this is far cry from Jurassic Park. I mean, I'd not even registered it was him until I looked at the cast afterwards.
I knew it was him straight. I was like, "That's a Jurassic Park lawyer."
It's not registered with me. So
yes.
What's he called in Jurassic Park? What's he called?
I don't remember. To me, he's just lawyer.
Just that lawyer man. Yeah.
Yes. And then of course it's hilarious that Ed O'Neill rocks up in episode 2. All My Children. I was like, and of course I know him. I also know him from Wayne's World, where he's the grumpy kind of psychotic diner owner. He's like, I killed a man once.
Yeah. I love Ed O'Neill. Married with Children is just hilarious.
Oh my God, he's great. Yes,
he played Popeye Doyle in a TV series.
Yes,
many years ago.
Yes,
in a French Connection TV series. I don't know what the hell happened to that, but
that'd be worth investigating as well.
Yeah, because it's not bad casting. That I don't think.
No, I can see that.
I don't mean this. I don't mean this in any way offensive to Ed O'Neill, but in a TV downgrade from Gene Hackman.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I can see that. Yeah, no, really, I really can. I think that works. I guess that's the other thing that's so funny about this show is, and again, I feel the same way when I watch things like Magnum or Spencer for Hire, is you see so many megastars before they're megastars.
Before they're megastars.
I mean, I did a bit of a look at it to see who else was in Miami Vice, but you have Julia Roberts, Liam Neeson, Bruce Willis, Chris Rock, Lawrence Fishburne. some of these guys also rock up in Spencer for Hire. Pam Grier has a couple of episodes in in Miami Vice, which I'm excited to get to at some point. But obviously, we got Ed O'Neill here, but tons of musical acts also rock up in this show. Phil Collins has a role at some point later down the line. Like, so fascinating to me.
Bruce Willis is in it.
Yeah, Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis is in one. I'm just looking through now.
Great.
Pam Grier. I'm just looking. Some of the names, like you say, go on to bigger and better things in inverted commas.
It's so.
A lot of people seem to cut the teeth.
Yeah, no, it's so fun when you catch these people in these early roles. Like, oh my god, this is right before they get big. This is right before they do the thing that makes them the star.
That makes them who they are. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool to see this stuff. I think, which is why I really enjoy going back and watching some of these older shows, because now these stars are the aged stars. They're old and they're fading out little by little, which is
that's
sad.
it. Yeah, I mean, Liam Neeson is a great example of that. I mean, I first came across Liam Neeson in Excalibur. He plays one of the knights in Excalibur, and now you look at him and you think, God, he's been around for centuries.
He's been around and
well, I mean,
what's he doing now?
John Glover is in a Miami Vice. I've just seen.
Oh my god, I got to get to that episode. Oh my god, John Bloody Glover, Lionel Luther,
Viggo Mortensen.
Aragorn. Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah. I missed that. That's amazing.
Reb Brown is in one. Do you know Reb Brown?
I do.
The first Captain America.
Yes.
Well, no, the second Captain America if you count the black and white serial, but.
Oh no!
He's he's someone else. Reb Brown. Yeah, there's loads of people in it. But yeah, it is always fun when you see people who've gone on to be megastars.
Yeah, it's great. It's good fun. Should we rate this?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, as everyone knows, or our regular listeners know at least, we rate all of our films or episodes of TV out of 5 Falcons, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Matt, what would you rate the pilot for Miami Vice, parts 1 and 2? It's Brothers Keeper. Is the second episode like Brothers Keeper Part 2, or is it called something else? I think this episode 2 is maybe called something else, but never mind.
I think it's called.
Actually, I think Ed O'Neill rocks up in episode 3. I think I jumped ahead. I think Ed O'Neill is in episode 3. It is Heart of Darkness is episode 3, but it's listed as episode 2 for some reason on IMDb. So no one needs to correct me in comments. I've already corrected myself.
You corrected yourself. There you go. Because of course episode 2 is still the pilot. But there you go. So technically it is episode 2, but it'll have been classed as episode.
Well, no, Heart of Darkness is episode 3. But it's listed as episode 2 on IMDb. Yeah. So Brothers Keeper 1 and 2. What are we rating it out of 5?
You can argue that either way. Brothers Keeper 1 and 2. I'm giving a solid 4. I had a whale of a time with this, and it's not without faults, as we pointed out. But by and large, this is TV cops at their best in a period that suits them best, and it is highly recommended.
I am going to give it 5 Falcons.
Ah, yeah, good for you.
I'm giving it 5. I know I have a couple of little problems, but I think it is so well executed. I think it changed its impact on neo-noir, its impact on television generally, its impact on police procedurals cannot be understated enough. That it's not just a gag of, oh, Miami Vice, the guys with the silly clothes. It is
no.
It is tough biting and literally changed the landscape of television, at least, with incredible visuals. I mean, they say they're making a movie a week. When I think about, I know I bring it up all the time, but you think about, episodes of Star Trek do similar things eventually. I can think of, Smallville, they did a movie budget effect every week. And when they did those moments, you were like, holy holy shit, that was amazing. This is a TV show and they're doing that. That Smallville was my Miami Vice, and I can see why my Miami Vice would have blown people away with what they were doing with the music, with the action.
It did.
My God, to me, it's 5. It's 5 all the way, baby.
I mean, it gets increasingly difficult to say the older you get, funnily enough, but you really had seen nothing like this before. You genuinely had seen nothing like this before. Yeah. This was groundbreaking in many ways. And it's just damn good fun.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I think we've thoroughly investigated the pilot for Miami Vice. So I think we can put this in the drawer and consider this case closed, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
Alrighty. So. Well, everyone, in the meantime, if you can, like and subscribe, leave a review. It's really helpful. Goes a long way. It takes 5 seconds or less to do. And we'll be back next week with another investigation. So in the meantime, take care walking down those mean streets.